Yo, what's going on, Taco fam? So, today I'm here with a fun version of Branded. It's very interesting, some of the options and plays that I came up with this version. I think you guys should give it a try, and I think y'all be excited about this version, or at least we'll have a laugh about it. And it's actually pretty good, and it's fun, and I can show you a few things with some of the card choices that I chose near the end. So stick around. Alright, so not going to run through it super quick, except for a few things. But the only things that didn't really change is 3 Aluber and 3 Albaz. So in this version, we're doing sort of like a Albaz kind of turbo deck. So we'll leave him to the side because, he is still important. Alright, so I'm still on 2 Quim and 2 Cartesia. So you will be relying on both of these a little bit more, just for the fun aspect. And you'll see with some of the plays that I'm going to talk about why. And then for the cards that mention Albaz, we got Albion, we have Mercurier, and a oldie but a goodie. So we decided to play an Incredible Ecclesia. So yes, it seems like a lot of normal summons, but with some of the ratios being changed, it actually is a little bit better. And the fact that this is Albaz during your opponent's turn as well is kind of important and pretty good. I'm still playing the 2 Bystials. 1 and 1, no more, no less. I kind of want to fit more, but I don't necessarily think you need them right now. And last monster, still playing Max. I think it's really good. Even in this version, it actually goes with one of the cards I'm playing now. So that's it for the monsters. Now for the spells, not too much has changed with this. So Branded Fusion, Opening, Servant, and we're still playing Deployment. So that pretty much doesn't change unless I'm playing more of a synchro version, but I'm not. So now for the other branded cards. So High Spirits. I decided to play a white because it's more of like an Albaz kind of turbo deck. White still comes up to let you fuse into pretty much anything. I'm playing 2 red in this version because I wanted to increase my fusion card count. So at least you have something during your opponent's turn, because at the end of the day, we still want to play a competitive deck. So I'm trying to make it a little bit more competitive, but just having a fusion during your opponent's turn, especially if you get barriered or ashed, is pretty good. And once you set up your graveyard, you should be good. And a Branded Loss. This card's really good too, but we all know that. Call by because it was the 40th slot. You don't necessarily need it in this version, but you can still play it, and it can still stop Ash. So here's where we start getting different with these last few cards. So I am playing 1 Retribution. I'm playing a Banishment in this version. And I'm playing a Sword. So I know this is going to look weird, but Sword gets back all your banished resources. This could banish your resources in order for this to get it back. Plus you can use your opponent's stuff. And we all know what Retribution does. And you can actually, like, out of nowhere, kill your opponent with this card if you banish a bunch of spells and traps during the battle phase to make a bunch of big tokens. So that's kind of fun. And then for the real spice, the card I was talking about, Light of the Branded. So this card is actually really good, especially in this version. It's because you target a fusion monster that's on the field or in the grave, send it back, and then you get to target, well, not target, you get to summon Albaz from your grave and summon any monster from your opponent's grave and give it to them. So it's sort of like an expulsion. So you're going to see where this is going, because it's actually good against Kashtira too, because you can just give them a monster. So if you're not giving them anything with Sanctifier, you can still give them a monster with this. And you don't necessarily have to fuse with it. And since you target an or you summon an Albaz from your grave, you can even summon the Shrouded Dragon if you don't want to fuse it off or anything like that. So the reason why we play it, you'll see. So I'm going to leave this down here. Now for the extra deck. 2 Mirror Jades, Albion, other Albion, Leonatus. None of this is pretty much going to change at all. Titanclad, kind of need that for a combo too. Lubellion and Rimbram. These are all the Albaz fusions we're playing. Then the 2 Granguignol, it still comes up and it's still really good, and it's synergized with this card as well, with the Light of the Branded. So then we have the last few, which is the Queritus, Chimera, and the Garura. We mainly play this because of Maximus, and we also play this because of Maximus. This card is actually really insane. Level modulating, which doesn't really matter too much, but the fact that if it goes to the grave, you get to bounce one of your opponent's face-up cards. So now I'm going to show you something with this card. A couple things, actually. So you'll probably need something like Quim or anything like that. I'll show you a couple of cards that it can work with. It can work with red. It can work with High Spirits. So with the High Spirits play, how this card works, you can use High Spirits, dump any fusion. Say you have a Quim in hand, you can discard her if you want. And this could search you anything in your deck. Automatically with the Light of the Branded, you already have a target, because you don't necessarily have to have a fusion on the field. You can just use it in the grave, and it also targets either player's graveyard too. So that's actually really good, and it can come up, especially in the mirror. So this can also help you against Bystials too. Whenever you go Branded Fusion and they already hand trapped you or something, and they try to Bystial you, and they target something like your Albaz, you can chain this to put back the fusion monster that you're trying to resolve, aka like Albion or Lubellion or something like that. Bring back the Albaz, and you can still resolve it without actually losing the Albaz. Or you can resolve the Albion another way and then using the Albaz as a fusion material for the next chains. One of my favorite plays that I like doing with this card is also with Maximus. Because if you special Max could use his effect. You could dump something like Garura and Titan. So you'll get a draw. Cool. And you could set some cards. Say you want to set the Light of the Branded and you already have an Albaz or something that you can access. What you can do is, even if you don't have an Albaz, during the end phase you'll get to an Albaz. So we'll say you set the Light of the Branded. So now during the end phase, Titanclad will trigger. So now we're going to summon Quim, and then Quim will dump the Albaz. So now during your opponent's turn, what you can do, you can recycle your guys when you're trying to interrupt them, especially if you're playing against something like Kashtira 2, because that's why Max is really good with this card, because it sets it up for you automatically. Because you could target one of their fusions in the grave and put it back to some of your Albaz and another monster, or you can put back one of yours and bring back your Albaz. So that's pretty cool, and that's pretty neat. So you use this, we'll just say you target like the Titanclad or something. You put this back to the extra deck. You summon a monster to their field, and you summon this to your field, so now you can fusion someone with this. So if they're trying to get rid of the Quim to stop you from bringing this out by them trying to kill it, without them knowing about this card, they still have to deal with the Albaz coming back during their turn. Okay, another play that you can actually do with the card as well. You can do the same thing with red, because red allows you to do the same. We'll say you summoned Quim once again. You could dump Albaz. You automatically have a target for the red, but you also have this too. So if you're trying to fuse, if you play against the mirror match even, you could put back their fusions to bring back your Albaz and any of their monsters. And if you do it during their turn, they have to be turn player. So you can even smartly give them an Albaz themselves and give yourself Albaz. And if they want to trigger it, they'll be chain link 1 and then you'll be chain link 2. So you could just take their Albaz so that they can't use your board. So that's another cool interaction that you could do with the card as well. Another way to set up this card as well is definitely with Nadir Servant. It's the same thing. You can use Nadir. You could send the Garura. That's typically what I send most times. And you'll search the Maximus. And then you'll get a random draw. So we'll just say you drew a random card. So this is in your hand. You could special the Maximus. And you could do the same thing as before. You could send Titan. And you could even also send something like Albion to give you like double plays during their turn. So if you don't have access to this card, this could also, the Maximus could get you there as well. So what you could do is now you still have the card in hand. So now you go to end phase. You can resolve them however you want. So you can go Titan first, summon Quim, Quim send Albaz, and now you could activate and set the Light of the Branded from your deck. So now you have multiple interruptions still. You still have Light of the Branded that you just set. So now they have to fear the Albaz if they go and do anything. If they try to fuse, or if they hand trap you or anything like that. And because they already have stuff in the graveyard, you can obviously use those too. But typically they can't bring back their own fusions because of this card with Maximus, only because they weren't summoned properly. But depending on what you're playing against, they're probably going to hand trap you. And that's another way that you can play whenever Branded Fusion does get stopped. You still have this sort of setup as well. Alright. Now, let's see. I think we have like one more pretty good option that you can do. Same thing with High Spirits. Depending on what you have in hand, like whichever name that you have, we'll just say you open Albaz, I guess. So, worst case, you can do this. High Spirits, reveal the Albaz that you drew, because, you know, we all end up drawing it. You can send this, send the Albion, and we'll just say we're just going to search Mercarier. So you automatically have a card in hand that you could discard with the Albaz. So now you go to end phase, and now you can set the Light of the Branded. So one, the Light of the Branded is a recycle. So you can put this back, bring back the Albaz whenever they're trying to play, whenever they link summon or anything. And then now you can discard a card because you already searched the card. So that's just saying you have no other cards to work with. You at least know guaranteed you have a card to discard off of the Albaz. Alright guys, so that was just a fun build that I came up with. It's been very interesting testing this card over the months and kind of theorying it. So I hope you guys enjoyed something. Hope you learned something as well. I hope this is pretty fun and informative. And hopefully you guys give it a try. If you like content like this, you know, please leave me a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Peace.